Welcome back guys, this is Awais back with another tutorial on the channel. This is going to be a project-based tutorial for AngularJS. I'm going to be creating a quiz application in AngularJS. I'm going to give you a demo of this application first and you guys know what we're going to build. So right now you can see I'm running this AngularJS quiz application on a local server. So the main feature of this application is that you can create quizzes and you can save them in a JSON file. And after that, once you want to take those quizzes, you can just open or load that JSON file into a quiz application and you will be able to take that quiz. Now this application will help basically teachers who wants to create a quiz and then later on they want to give it to students and let them take that quiz. So let's go and create a quiz first in this application. So I have three buttons: quiz app, create quiz, and take quiz. So we're gonna create a quiz and then we'll take a quiz. So let's click on create quiz and I'm gonna type the author name to my name, Awais, and quiz name I'll just say general. And I'm gonna type two questions here. So I'll type two and I'll click on create a new. Now after that we need to type the question, so I'll just say what is your name, and then I'll type my name for the choice one, so I'll just say Awais. Choice two, I'll type my brother name. Choice three, Aspen is my brother name. Uzair is my brother name, right? I'm gonna select the correct answer, so we'll click on this correct button, and that means this is going to be the correct answer for this question. And I will click on add question, and then we basically type two questions, so we will type a second question as well. So I'll just say what do you do for a living, and then the first choice will be programming, second nothing, third would be making YouTube videos, playing video games. And now I'm going to select programming as a correct answer, so let's click on correct, and then we'll click on add question two. So now it's showing us our first question and the choices, and the second question and choices, and then here we have a button save quiz. So I'll click on save quiz button, and there we go. So we have this file downloaded into our computer. I'm gonna open that in brackets editor and show you guys what JSON file do we get. So this is the JSON file for our quiz. That's what we just created, and now we can save this JSON file and we can take this quiz in this application whenever we want it. So this is a JSON file. I'm gonna close this, and now I'm gonna load that quiz into the application. So let's refresh the page, and we'll click on take quiz and we'll click on open quiz. And then I'm gonna go navigate into my computer, and this is the file what we created for our quiz. So let's select that. Now once I double click on that, it loads that load that quiz into our application, and here I have author name and quiz name and how many questions are there. So there are two questions, and then we can click on start quiz, and it's gonna ask you the first question, and you have to select the right answer. For the first question we select the right answer, so I'll click on Awais, and then I'll click on next question. And then for the second question we write, let's say we select the wrong answer, so I'll click on playing video games, and I'll click on next, and now it's gonna show me the result. So the correct answer was Awais, and I selected Awais, and it says it's a correct answer. And then the correct answer was programming, and it's showing me your answer. That means whatever I selected, so it's wrong. So this application is pretty advanced. We'll be using AngularJS to build this application. There's going to be a lot of functionality for that. So enjoy this tutorial, but before you go and watch this, I want to talk to you guys about a few things. Well, I've been putting a lot of time into YouTube and making a lot of tutorials, and if you guys really appreciate these tutorials, then you can basically help me out by donating. So I've dropped my PayPal link down here, so if you like the video and my other tutorials on YouTube channel, because I was gonna make this course on Udemy and make it paid course. So instead of making it paid, I'm just making it for free for you guys. So if any one of you guys want to donate some thing, then yeah, that I'll really appreciate that. And second thing, I have dropped the link of a couple of books which are basically really good books to learn AngularJS. So if you haven't learned AngularJS and you want to learn AngularJS, I would highly recommend to get those books. So those books explain everything in details. So I'll drop a link in the description. Check out the description for AngularJS book and Angular 4 book as well. And those links are basically from Amazon, so it's gonna help me out as well. So yep, enjoy this tutorial. It's gonna be a bit long, so we will create this application from scratch. Welcome back, guys. In this video we are going to start our quiz app project. I'm really excited about it, so let's go and create a new project in WebStorm and set up our project for a quiz app. I'm gonna go create a new project and I'm gonna create a new empty project. I will type the name here where I'll just say quiz application. And let's create a project. Now in WebStorm, if you're using WebStorm, this ID is pretty great. So here we have an empty folder with the quiz app. So now let's create a few directories first. So we are going to create a directory for JS. We are going to create a directory for our CSS. And we are going to create a directory for our templates. Alright, and then the first thing we need to create is index.html file. Index.html file. And then the title, we just make a text a bit bigger. So for the title, I'll just say Angular JS quiz app. I'm going to save the file. And the next thing we need is a file called app.js. So we'll just say app.js file. And then we are going to use npm to install few modules. So here we don't see any package.json file. So here we can first check whether we have a node installed or not. So you can check it by node space -v. Yes, we do have. And then we check npm. Yep, we have npm installed as well. So I'm just gonna type here npm. Oops, not there. In our app.js file. So here we'll just type npm init. And now it's gonna ask me to type the name of the project. So we'll just say quiz app. And version 10 is fine. Descriptions. We are creating a quiz app using AngularJS. Enter. Yep. And then test, no script, no git repository, no author. And we just say yes, that's fine. Now if we go to the directory, we should see this, we have this package.json file. Now to organize our dependencies, we need to use some kind of a dependency manager. So for this project, I'm gonna be using Bower. So let's install that using npm. So here we have npm install --save -dev. So this flag basically tells the compiler or tells the WebStorm to add that to our dev dependency, not in a dependency. And we just say Bower. So it's gonna go and grab the Bower and it's gonna install for that for us, and it's gonna add that in our package.json file as well. So here we can see we have node modules and we have a Bower installed there. Now if I go and look at our package.json file, we should have a Bower, but we need to run a command npm install. Right, it's up to date, so we can say npm update. And then we have file of package.json, and here we can see we have a dev dependencies section and we have a Bower installed there. So that's pretty cool, it's working fine. And now the next thing we need is use a Bower.json file to add a dependencies for us. So we create that. So we just say Bower init, and here we just leave the name as quiz app, description will leave as npm. We have in package.json, app is fine. Keyword we just say AngularJS, author Awais Mirza, license MIT, homepage we don't want to define yet, so yep, and then yes to yes. All right, so we have a Bower installed now, and we can look at it by going to the bower.json file. So right now we don't have any dependency, but we do have Bower installed. Then we can use Bower to bring our dependency and add them into a project. So the first thing we need in our project is Angular. So we use Bower install -- save, and then we just say Angular, and it's gonna go and grab AngularJS for us. Here we can see we have a Bower components now, where we have this angular.js file. Now how easy is that, right? So next thing we're gonna do is we are going to install Bower, and we need to install Bootstrap. So save Bootstrap, and Bootstrap is gonna get jQuery as well, because Bootstrap relies on jQuery. So we should see in a Bower components we have a jQuery, we have a Bootstrap and jQuery. The next we need is another package, Bower install -- save Lodash. We install Lodash, which is basically a library which helps us to do a bit of functions in JavaScript, but it's gonna help us a lot. Next we need install Bower install -- save Angular -route. Enter, and we will have that dependency there. Alright, so we have AngularJS, we have Bootstrap, jQuery, and Lodash. I'm going to close Bower and package.json, we don't need them anymore. So we are going to create our first module first. And then, so let's just create a variable, and we can say quiz app, and we're gonna set equal to angular.module and the name of our module. So we just leave that quiz app as well. And then inside our dependencies, we can add ng-route, or maybe we can just leave that empty for now. We'll add that later if we need it. And we'll create a module. Now let's go to index.html and try to bring in our dependencies first. So we'll go, and first of all we are going to create our CSS file. Let's just go and create a CSS file. We just name it style, and then we're gonna bring some stuff in. So we go to Bower, we go to Angular, and first thing we need is an angular.js file. Next we need is Bootstrap. So Bootstrap needs 2 JS files. So we'll go distribution version JS, and bootstrap.js file is there. Next we need a jQuery. So let's grab the jQuery as well. That's the jQuery there. And then we are going to bring this down. So I'm just gonna cut them and paste them here. Now jQuery needs to be on the top because it's gonna need to be on the top for bootstrap.js to work. And then we have this angular.js file. Now we can add our app.js file here. So let's just bring it all the way down, and that should be fine now. So we just do a bit of indentation to make our application text looks alright. So we have our jQuery there, we have a Bootstrap there, we have angular.js there, and we have app.js file as well. So now what we're gonna do here, we are going to add our CSS file. Let's just grab this and put it here, and then we need a CSS file from Bootstrap as well. So let's go distribution CSS, and we grab this here. All right, now there's a few things we can do here. We're gonna be running an HTTP server to run our application. So what I'm gonna do, first of all, let's install the HTTP server. So let's just go here, npm install dash save dash dev, and then there we type http dash server. Now it's gonna go and grab that package for us, and it's gonna put that in our JSON file for package.json, and here we have npm server where we can install it. Now we need to configure this. We need to have some kind of a script that will run the server and run it from a specific folder. For that, first of all, let's organize our folder structure. So here I'm going to create a directory called app, and inside that app I'm just gonna drag this and push it there. So I'm gonna drag all the folders and I'm gonna move those folders into an app. So let's just grab JS as well, put it there, and we're gonna have to have template folder inside our app folder, and we can grab this Bower components as well. Alright, it's gonna take a bit of time to actually move because there's a lot of stuff to move. We just wait for it. Alright, so our Bower component folder is in our app folder now. So if we look at index.html, here it automatically changed our source path for our Bower components, which is great, right? Now we need to tell the Bower to actually install the future components in this folder. So how do we do that? So to do that, we are going to create another file. So let's just go and create a new file, which we're going to be typing .bower rc. So BOWER-RC, and here we'll just add an object here, and we just say directory should be, and then we add app dash bower underscore components. Alright, so if you have watched my first section of this course, you know that I've explained that why we have to do this, because the future components needs to know where is a Bower component folder. So we do a configuration file here, and then we just basically tell Bower to look for app/Bower component folder, and then install our dependency in that. I'm just gonna move this outside. We don't really need that in our app folder. So let's just close that, and it should be fine now. Now we have all the dependencies there. We need to move our app.js file inside that as well. And then we have installed HTTP server. So we take a look at HTTP server now. So if I go the h1 hello world, save it, and here we look at package.json file where we don't have any script to start the HTTP server. So that's what we're gonna write now. So inside of our script, we add a comma first, and we just add a key here. First of all, we just say start, and that's gonna take a value here. So the value is going to be, first of all, HTTP server dash a localhost, and then dash p flag, and then p flag is gonna take the ports where we want to run this. So we want to run this on 8000, or we can say 8080, it's up to you. And then the folder path from where it should start our server. So we'll type here c-1 and then /app, and that's about it. So it's gonna go inside our main container, main folder. It's going to look for the folder app, and inside that it's going to start running our application. So we can test it now. So if I go here, I'll type npm start command, and if I npm start command, and I'll just go localhost 8000, and here, there we go, we have index file there, we have app, css, all this folder. The reason why it didn't actually run the index.html because index.html is outside. So we're gonna drag this and move this inside our app folder as well. So it's gonna go and search for indexing and change the the dependency here. So here we see we don't see any app anymore. So this IDE is very smart, so it changed the source for us. I'm gonna save the file. I'm gonna go back to our server. Let's refresh this and we should see hello world. And this is why we can see that our app is up and running, and we can start building your AngularJS quiz app from the next video. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to create a controller and we are going to organize different files for the project and use Gulp to make them production ready. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to remove this h1 heading from here, and then we are going to go into JS file, and here I have a folder called controller. Inside that, I'm going to create a JS file. So I'll just name it quiz controller. Inside that, we are going to write a code for our controller. So how do we write a controller? We'll type angular.module, and we want to select which module we want to use. So we want to use this quiz app. Let's copy that, and then here we'll type the name of our module, and then dot controller, and then add parentheses, single quotes, and your name of your controller. So in this case, we are making a quiz application. So we'll type quiz controller. And now after that, it takes a callback function. So we type comma and then a function, and the function needs a scope object. So we add a scope object. Now there's a few things I want to talk about here is that when you are going to ship your application for production ready, you need to minify to make that file size smaller and make it faster basically. So if you're not sure about minifying, I'll basically have a separate video explaining what I mean by minifying, and I have a separate JavaScript course as well. You can check that out as well. Okay, so how do we make this minify ready? So we are going to actually add an array, and then inside that we go single quotes and the name of our scope object, and then dot function, and here we are just going to basically remove these lines of code, and let's just remove this as well. And then here we'll just say function, and then here we have a scope object inside that, and then we close the array, and then we close the parentheses. So now our controller is ready for a minified version as well. So every time we add a dependency here, for example, we add a queue service or we add a log service, we'll type that as a string here and then add. So I'm just gonna make it smaller. I think it's too big to look at. So this size is perfectly fine. Right, so we have successfully made our controller. Now we're gonna attach our app module and then the controller in our index.html file. Now we are going to go, and here I'm just gonna say ng app, and I'm just gonna say quiz app. So this module is gonna use for whole file. In the body, we are going to attach our controller. So ng controller, we say quiz controller. Right now, it doesn't know what is meant by quiz controller because we haven't attached that script file in our HTML. So here we go to controller, we go drag that file. If you don't use WebStorm, then you can just write this text. Now we have to put this after our app.js file, so it needs to know where is the module, and after it loads this file. Now here inside our controller, we can simply test it if it's working fine. So we're just gonna go to controller file, and on the scope object we are going to add a variable. So we just say message is equal to hello world. We save the file and we go back to index.html, and I use the binding expression to display that message. So I'll use the binding expression and then use message. I'm gonna refresh the page, and here we can see we have the hello world coming from our scope object. So that means our file is working. Now we have few problems here. The problem is that I don't want to attach every single script file here whenever I create new ones. So our application is gonna be broken apart into various different files. We're gonna have a quiz factory, we're gonna have a question factory, we're gonna have some models, we're gonna have some services, we're gonna have a lot of directives. So to basically make that one file, we need to do a few things. We need to have we need to use a tool called Gulp, which will concatenate all the files into one file. So instead of just attaching all these JavaScript files separately, we just attach one file and we name it app. So let's go and do a bit of work on that. In this video, we're going to install all the modules in our package.json file. So here I'm going to go to package.json file, and in the dev dependency, I'm going to copy and paste some dependency here. So yeah, let's get the Gulp dependency. So I'm just going to grab all the Gulp dependency. I'm just going to type comma here and then paste those dependencies here. And the last dependency we need is a main bower file. We have a dependency called main bower file, which basically grab all the main files. For example, in our index.html, we used Angular, which has this file angular.js. So we are separately attaching the libraries. So if you want to get all the files at once and then concatenate them, you can use that package there. But we're not going to use it. So I'm just letting you know that there is a package called main dash bower dash files. I will maybe make a separate video how to use that. Now we got all the dependencies in our package.json file. Now it's time for us to install. So I'm going to open a new terminal here, and inside terminal I'm just going to say npm install. Npm install. And now it's going to go and read our package.json file and install all of these dependency for us. And after that, I'm going to show you in the next video how to use Gulp to concatenate all those files. So now if we go to our node modules, we should see Gulp here. So if I go down, there we go. We have Gulp, Gulp Angular file sort, template cache, normalize, clean, concat, and concat CSS as well. So in the next video, we'll use this Gulp tool to get all the files into one file. Welcome back, guys. In this video, we are going to look at Gulp. In the last video, we installed some packages for Gulp. So we install Gulp, we install Gulp Angular file sort, Gulp Angular template cache, Gulp concat CSS. So now we're going to use these to basically organize our application into few files. Okay, let's do it. Now for that, we are going to create a new file in our quiz application, and I'm going to name it gulpfile.js. Now we have the file here. Right, so inside that, first of all, we need to, let's just say we use strict. Okay, let's come down. We need to bring our packages in for this file. So first of all, let's create var. We just get a Gulp first. So require, this is if you're not sure about this is basically a node stuff. So if you require any package from the node module, you have to write this. So we type a variable Gulp and we require Gulp, and then we require, let's just say concat as well. So require, and we'll just say Gulp concat. We need this package, and then we need, let's just say Angular file sort. We name the variable, and now just say require and Angular file sort. Yep, there is a package there. Then we have another package to import, var, we can call it template cache is equal to require, and we are going to type Gulp Angular template cache. And then we have another one, so we name it ng annotate require, add single quotes, and we just say Gulp ng annotate. So This is the one. All right, so for now we only need these packages. We need to bring in a few other packages, but we'll do that when we need them. So now let's go down. Now the Gulp works with the task. So there are mainly 3 or 4 tasks. I'll just take you to the documentation of Gulp here. So we'll just say Gulp, and we go to gulp.js file. And inside that, if you want to learn Gulp, then you can come to this website and go to docs on GitHub. And mainly there are 3 things that you need to remember: gulp.source, gulp.desk, gulp.task, and gulp.watch. All right, so we'll use these now. So here inside that, first of all, we are going to grab all our app modules. So for example, we add controller, we add directives, we add services, then we want to concatenate all of them into one file. So we will start by using gulp.task, and then here we name our task is like app modules. Okay, and then it takes a callback function, and then we go and return from something from this function. So just say return, and return gulp.source. Okay, so inside that, first of all, we need to say which task or which source we want to use for this task. So here we can say that in a single quotes, and I'm just going to grab the location for this JS. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say copy relative path, and I'm going to paste that here. So it says app.js, and then after that we just use / and */*.js. All right, and then after that we go and pipe it. So we just say pipe, and then we use this module ng annotate, and then we pipe. Let's just say we need to sort our Angular files as well. So just say Angular sort file. Then we concatenate as well by using this concatenate package. So concat, and then what is the name of our file we want to type here? So we just call it scripts.js. Okay, then we pipe something, let's just say, and then we use the gulp.dest. Okay, so gulp.dest, and here we are going to use another folder which the Gulp is going to create for us, and we'll just name it dist/source. Okay, and then after that we are going to just close this. Now here we have created a Gulp task for app module. Now we are going to use another task for our CSS. So type gulp.task, and then we name our task, which will just say, let's just say CSS. It takes a callback function, and then it will return gulp.source. So which source we want to take from here. We will take this CSS file. So I'm just going to right click and then find the relative path for this, and then we'll just paste that path, and then I'm gonna say /.css. Okay, and here what are the files we have in there, and then we're gonna pipe it as well. So pipe it, and we'll use the concat, and then we name our file style.css, and then where we want to put it. So we'll use pipe and use the gulp.dest, and then we just say dist/source. All right, and it's gonna copy all the files from here, concatenate them, name them style.css, and then it will just put them here. All right. Okay, so now let's go and create another task for templates. So we go gulp.task, and the name of our is templates, and then we type function here which will return gulp.source, and then the source we want to say, which is going to be, let's just say app-templates. I'm just gonna copy this relative path so I don't make any spelling mistake. So just paste that here, and then after that we just use / and static dot HTML. So only use HTML files. Okay, and then we'll just pipe it, and we will use another module, package, which we bring it in. So template cache, Gulp Angular template cache, and then here we'll say name of a file template.js. okay, and then after that we are going to add few things here. So template cache needs to know the module name and then the root as well. So for that we can add comma, and then we just give it an object. So there's an object, and I will just add a key, say module, and the name is quiz app, and I believe this is the name of our module here. So I'll just copy from here and then paste it here in case I make any mistake. So let's just copy and then paste that here, right? And then add a comma here. Then we just want to define root, and then the root is going to be the path for this template folder. So here we'll just say right click, copy relative path, and then here I'm just gonna type that path here. So this is going to be our root for that. And after that we're gonna pipe this. So let's just say pipe gulp.dest, and then we want to copy that file into app, actually dist, and that's about it, actually dot source. Okay, so let's just add a semicolon here as well. Now we can actually create another task to combine our libraries as well. So if we go back to index.html, we see that we are actually using Bower to grab our dependencies. So how we can fix this, how we can get all of these libraries into one file. For that, I'm going to go and install one more package here. So here we type, the package name is going to be main Bower files. So I'm just gonna copy and then paste it here. And then after that, I need to run npm update. So I can just click on it. It's gonna go and install main Bower files as well. So it's just gonna run. Okay, and then here we go to terminal and we'll just say npm install, and it's gonna go install main Bower files. So let's have a look at node modules as well. So we have a main Bower file. So we'll just go down. Okay, and so we have a main Bower file. Yes, so we can use that now to grab all the dependency files and put them into one file. So we are going to use that package. So I'll just say we can name it, let's just say we can call it Bower files or main Bower files. It's up to you. Well, I'll just say main Bower files is equal to require, and I'm going to require main Bower files. All right. Now to do that, we are going to create another task for our library. So let's go and have a look at that now. For that, we are going to go up, and here we'll just say gulp.task, and then we'll just say, let's just say libs takes a function, and then it will return gulp.source. So the source we are going to take is from Bower component folder, right? For that, we are going to use main Bower file package, and then it will have an object. An object's going to take a base. I'm gonna tell it look for let's just say app/Bower underscore components. I'm just gonna copy the relative path for this so we don't make any mistake here. So just paste it here. So this is needs a single quote here. Okay, so that's the object it's gonna take, and then we need to use another package which is Gulp Bower normalize. for now we just leave that here, we don't worry about it, but we should use that normalized package. Let's just do one thing now. So let's just pipe it, and we just say gulp.dest, and then we're just gonna name it our libs. So libs is going to be inside of our, let's just say dist/source. Okay, and let's see if this thing works. Now there are ways that you can run Gulp. So you could run this task separately, or you can create another task which will run all of these tasks, which is a lot simpler, right? First of all, let's just look at, can we install or can we run Gulp? So if I say Gulp, and I'll just say CSS, and we'll say that yep, it's gonna go grab the CSS, and it should create a dist folder for us. So here we have a dist folder. In the source we have this style.css file. So in the style.css we don't have anything yet, but if we did, it will just copy and paste that file there, right? So one more thing we can do, we can actually get this bootstrap.css file from our Bower components. If I go bootstrap, and I'll just go and I'll just copy this file, and then I'm just gonna come and just paste it here. All right, so it's gonna grab this file and then just concatenate with our own CSS. Let's look at the demo now. So here we go to CSS file, and here we'll just say .h1, actually just say h1, and we'll just say color to be, let's just say this color, right? Just for demo purposes. Now I'm just gonna minimize those folder, and then we are going to, let's just say, come down here and just say Gulp and the name of the task, which is CSS. I'm gonna run it, and it's gonna go grab those files and then create a dist folder for us, and we have a CSS file now. I'm just gonna look at it, and now this time if I go to this CSS file, I can see I have a bootstrap file here, which is all the bootstrap related CSS, and all the way down we have our own source mapping URL as well. So we have this color and this thing as well. This is our own CSS. All right, so we created a task for our library as well. I want to modify that task. So we're getting libraries from Bower components from using this base. Now the newer version of Bower main Bower files actually can grab all the main files automatically. So we don't really have to tell it what is the base. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete this line of code, and after that we just delete it, and we just pipe this to our gulp.dest.source. But we need to grab a few things here to actually concatenate them into one file. For example, if you have an angular.js library and you have an angular-route library, so what if just this concatenate that file before it concatenate the angular.js, which is going to cause an error. So we want to make sure that our main files can be on the top, so when that file gets loaded, it gets loaded properly, so we don't have any error. For that, we are going to grab all the files from the Bower by using this, and then after that, we're going to pipe it with another package which we installed. We install Angular file sort, right? And then we're going to pipe this as well again, and we're going to pipe this with concat, and to concat, we're going to name it libs.js. Then we are going to use another package which we haven't installed yet, which is going to be Gulpfile. So let's go back to package.json file, actually package.json file, not bower.json file. There you go, there is our package.json file, and here we have a package to install. We will call it, this is called gulp-gulpfile. Okay, and the top version is 3 point something. So we install that. To install that, we need to go to terminal, and we just say npm install, and it's going to install that. And then we go back to our .js file, and then we can use that here now. So but use that, we're gonna bring it in. So gulp, and we just say gulp uglify, and then we can say require gulp uglify. Oops, it's not gonna work. We need to put that into single quote. So gulp, there we go. We have a package called gulp uglify. All right, so here we'll just use that as well. So gulp uglify, and then we just make that file and put that into our dist. So now let's try a few of the tasks. So we just say gulp libs. All right, so it's saying that bootstrap.less line 8 unexpected token. So if we go down here, we see we have all the files there, but it could not actually concatenate this file, which has a lot of stuff going on. So we want to get rid of this file. So we go to here. I'm just going to delete the source folder for now. To actually remove that file, we go to Bower, we go here, and then here we have a this folder, we have a JSON, we have a bootstrap, we have bootstrap.less file. We need to find this bootstrap.less. So here we want to just ignore this. So here, if I just go and delete this, and in the bower.json file, we are just going to get rid of this main here. Okay, I'm gonna save this file, and now it's not gonna worry about bootstrap.less file because we don't really need that file. All right, so let's try running gulp libs again, and it's gonna go grab all the libs for us, and it's gonna go and put those libs into our this folder, and then source, and there you go. So we have a libs folder, and it's already gone concatenated, and it's basically properly organized for us, and it's a minified version as well, so it's much faster. All right, so we have libs, and then we can have our modules as well. And so here we'll just say gulp app module. Now here it's gonna go and grab our script file inside, and then we have our CSS as well, gulp CSS, and you'll see we have CSS file there as well. Now, instead of running them separately, I'm actually going to be a smartass here, and I'm just going to delete that source folder, and down here we are going to create another task which will run all of these tasks for us. But first, let's quickly create a task for our index.html. So we need two files. We need app.js file and an index.html file as well. So here I'm just going to create a task quickly. Actually, I have the task written there, so I'm just going to copy and paste the task here. So here we have this task, and we have another task for our app.js as well. All right, so here we have two tasks, index and then app main. So now we need to tell it a way to look for this file. So here it's going to look for app and then index.html, and it's going to look for app and app.js file as well. So now we create a task here. So we just say gulp.task, and we want to run a multiple task, right? So here we can just say gulp.task, and then we name our task as build, and then we can define an array of the tasks which we want to run. So we want to run, first of all, we want to run index, comma, templates. Oops, it's gonna cause an error. We have to be in a single quote. So templates, comma, we have other task CSS, yes, CSS, and then we have another task called libs, and then we have app modules. So app modules. All right, so 1 2 3 4 5 tasks. So here we have 1 2 3 4 5 and 6 tasks. So what we're missing app main. So here I'll just go add another task, app main. Okay, I'm just gonna save this file, and there's a few things we need to modify. Now once we build this project, our index file has to have a different kind of location now. So here we'll modify that, but first let's run a task called Gulp build, which we just built. So here it's getting an index file, template, CSS libs, app modules, main, template, index, all of the file. Now if I go to this folder here, we can see we have this source folder, we have CSS, script, and libs. Okay, now I'm not sure why it didn't actually bring it in our app or index.js file as well. So here I'm just gonna go to gulp.js file, and here we're gonna find out, yep, we had a different path there. So if you go this here, it's gone into this folder. So I'm just gonna delete that folder there. So here we'll just say dist, okay, slash for index, and app is going to be dist slash. Okay, let's try running the Gulp build again. So it's gonna go and grab all the files, and it's gonna organize this for us now normally. Okay, so we have app.js file, we have index.html, we have the source files here as well. Now if I go to index.html, it's saying that okay, we have the bower components which it doesn't know where to look for, so we need to modify our index.html so when we run it on server, it will have a proper path to the files. So let's do that. So for that, we are going to go to index.html file here. Let's get rid of this message, and let's get rid of these scripts as well. Let's get rid of this script as well, this link as well. Okay, so here we are going to use this folder this time. So here we need to define our libraries first. So here we'll just grab the libraries, and then we are going to remove this. So we just say source / libs.js, and then we need a script. So we'll just go and delete this as well, source / this, and then we're going to use a style, so which will have the same thing here. So we'll go source / style.css. We got lib script, and then we need an app.js file, which is going to be all the way down. So here we just say app.js, right? And then we are going to src, that's fine. Now we don't really need anything else, so we are just going to push them down, and I'm just gonna grab all of these and push them down. Actually, we need the style.css in the links. Okay, all right, so cool. Now we have gone over files. Here I'm gonna type message. All right, and now we got our libs, we got script, we got app.js file. Now we need to modify a couple of things in our package.json file. So here we go to package.json file, and here you can see we have a task start, which start our HTTP server on this folder ./app, which we need to modify now. So we don't have to go to app folder, we just simply go to this folder now. Let's save it. And now if I go and type a command npm start, it is going to start a server from this folder. So here we have this folder. Now if I go refresh the page, we have a problem here. It says JS controller queues.js error, and we don't have these bower files because the index file here doesn't have these this file is not modified yet. So we need to start another. We're gonna stop our server by pressing Ctrl+C, and then here we'll type gulp build one more time. So once we do gulp build here, and then we are going to look at our this folder and index.html inside that. Now it's perfectly fine, right? So let's start our server, npm start. Let's start it, and now if I refresh the page, and we should see something like here. So we have style fine, libs file, scripts file, app.js is fine as well. Now the reason why we're not getting we're not getting our message there, is something's wrong with our script file. Or we can look at our console. So here it says Bootstrap JavaScript requires jQuery, Angular is not defined, Angular is not defined. And in the next video, we're going to fix these issues because this video is already very long. Welcome back, guys. So in the last video, we finished our configuration for Gulp and we were having these errors. The reason why we were having these errors is because this package main bower files. This is a promise, so before it executes it start running the next command, which basically doesn't really recognize where is the jQuery and where is the Angular file. So we're gonna have to modify this so we can create another task here, and we are not going to add that task into our Gulp task build. All right, so we're going to just grab all the libraries from bower and then paste them somewhere here in the folder. So once we have that folder ready, then we can use that folder to build our libraries. So let's create a gulp.task, and here I will just say, well, we just say build libs, or maybe we can just say build libs, right? In lowercase. It's going to give me an error, so not error, just recommendation that use the capital or camel case. So it takes a function and then we're going to return, and we just have gulp.source, and then here we just grab main bower files, and then we just pipe it. So let's just pipe it, and then here we just use gulp.dest, and then we just put them into a folder where basically we have a folder named libs. Okay, and then we just add a semicolon and then add a semicolon here. Now we're gonna just run this task from bower, so just say gulp and then build libs, and then it's gonna go and grab all the files and then make another folder for us, libs. Inside the libs, we have all the libraries. We have AngularJS, Road, Bootstrap, jQuery, and Lodash. Now we have all of these files in this libs folder, so we can use this instead of just using main bower files here. So here I will just go and delete this line, and I will just say go to libs folder and grab all the files from there, and then use Angular sort, concatenate, and uglify them, and then push that file into our dist folder in the source and make a lib file. So now we are going to run another gulp build task, and it's going to go grab all the files. And this time, as you see, that we did not add this build libs inside of it, so we just have to run this task manually, and then we got all the libs here, and then we use this folder to build our the main concatenated file. So now we got that, and now if I refresh the page, and I should see there is no error. It knows where to look for jQuery, where to look for Angular module. So now we are ready to go. So this is one task here. Now there is another important task which basically is going to help us to develop faster. I'm going to show you that as well. So here we have this build task. So let's say we make any change to our files, and then we will have to run this build task again and again. We don't want to do that. We want to instead use gulp.task watch. Watch is a task where basically you have Gulp basically keep an eye on the changes and just update that file for us. So we'll create that. So we'll just say gulp.task here, and then we just name it watch. Takes a function, callback function, and inside that we have gulp.watch task. So first we want to watch any changes happen in this JS folder, or any changes happen in this template folder. All right, so I have actually created that task here, so I'm just gonna copy and paste that here. So we'll just paste it here, and then we modify the folder. So here it's gonna watch for app folder here, and inside our source. We don't have a source folder, so we just want to remove this source. It's going to go to JS and then check for JS and JS, and then it's going to run app module task. So this is our app module task is here. And then it's going to go look for all the CSS. We don't have a source, so we just go app CSS/CSS. So if we make any changes here, it's going to go and run this task for us automatically, the CSS task. We have a template task. If we make any changes into our template, then here it's going to go to app folder and then templates and watch for any changes in these templates. And it's going to run our task called templates. Now we are ready to go. And then if I save this, and now I'm going to run this Gulp watch task. All right, now it's just going to keep watching. Okay, it's going to just keep watching for us. One more thing we want to add here, I'm just going to stop this task by pressing Control C. One more task we need to have inside. We want to have a task for app.js file, or we can do a different way. We can add this app.js file inside our JS folder, which will automatically look for any changes in JS files as well. So let's do that now. So I'm just going to grab this and put that into JS folder. So we have app.js file inside our JS folder. So now it's going to look for that as well. All right, so here we have to modify this app file as well. So here we can see we have a task here called js/app.js. So we don't really need that anymore. So if we go and delete the dist folder, inside the dist folder we delete the source folder here, and then if I run this gulp.build, it's going to go and grab all the files and it's going to go and look inside our JS folder now instead of looking at app.js folder. So if we go look at a JS folder now, we have source, we have script folder. Inside the script, as you can see, we have this variable app module here as well. So we don't really need this app.js file anymore. So we just get rid of that inside of this folder, and inside our HTML, we will just use script and we use the libs folder. That's all we need. All right, so here we can go back to gulp.js file, and we don't really need this app main file, so we just get rid of this task here, and we have this app main task here, so we just get rid of that as well. And then we are going to basically run gulp.build again. So let's just delete this source folder and we just run gulp.build again. And now let's see what we get. So we don't really get this app file anymore, but if we look at the script file, we have script.js, which has this app module already there for us to use. So we don't really need that. Instead of the script name, I'm actually going to change the name to an app.js. So we deleted that folder, and here I'm just gonna go and look for our script. So there you go, that's the script. So here I'm gonna just say app.js instead of script. Now let's run our gulp build, and then we look at this. We have the source folder, we have app style, and we have our index.html. Now we don't see templates here. The reason why is we don't see templates because we haven't have any templates yet. So now there's one more thing I want to do. While I work in WebStorm, I actually tend to move these folders. So I don't want to see these folders because I just want to focus on these things here. So what I can do here, instead of just going to the project, I'm going to go project files. So inside the project files, I only see these app, this, and libs folder. And here I'm going to right click on libs, and I'm just going to mark this directory as resource root. So if I go here, it's still there, sorry, my bad. I want to mark this as excluded. Now inside that, I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see this folder as well, so just mark that as excluded as well. So we go and we only see app folder now. So here I just want to mark that as excluded as well. So right now I only see app folder, and I will only see CSS, JS file folder, and then index.html. So it's much easier to look at. All right, so we can actually get rid of these files as well, and we just mark them as excluded as well. So here we can't really do it. Yep, we can't do the multiple files, but we can do one by one. We can just mark these files with excluded, but let's not worry about it for now. Now we are going to start our task called Gulp watch. And now it's going to go and keep watching. And now if I go to my app.js file, and here if I add something and I save the file, it's just going to update automatically. And now in another terminal, I have this server running, which has our application running here. Let me just close the console now, and we actually go into the controller and we just add something new here. So on the scope object, I'm just going to say, let's just say hello. And if we just say hello, Mr. AngularJS quiz app. All right, and let's just save it. Now once I just save it, I'm just saving it, and I go to index.html, and I will just use a binary expression. I will just use hello. I just saved it. All right, I just saved it, and it's went there, and it's just updated that file for us. I'm gonna refresh the file, and here we don't see message now. We're gonna look at the console now. What's the problem? Now here it says server responded with 4 of 4. Okay, we don't really see that because we have this script.js file. We're supposed to change that to app.js file now. So if I go here and change this to app.js file, and I'll just go and stop our gulp.watch, and I'll just use gulp build once, and then we're just gonna wait for it to complete. It's completed. Now if I refresh the page now, and here, there we go, guys. We have hello world, and hello Mr. Angular. So here if I just go, let's just do h1 now and wrap it with h1, save the file, and let's refresh it. Now we should see hello in h1. We didn't see that because we need to update our server, because we haven't actually run our gulp watch command. So gulp watch, look for it. It's gonna go start looking. I'm gonna save the file, and let's refresh the page. And here we don't see that again because the watch doesn't actually update our index.html file. So if we go look at watch, we don't really update any index.html file, right? So for that, we need to run gulp build again. So here you can press Ctrl C, press Y, press enter to stop that, and then we'll go gulp build again. And then now it's going to go build the index file, and let's refresh the page, and we should see hello Mr. AngularJS quiz app. And you see the color is changed as well. The reason why color is changed because in the CSS we changed our h1 color. How cool is that, guys? So our app is up and running. One more thing I can do here, I can just go gulp.watch, and I want it to watch for a file app/index.html. okay, HTML. And now once it gets changed, I want to run a task called index. Okay, now it will update the index file as well now. So here we will just go gulp watch. Now it's running and looking for changes in every file in our application. So I'm gonna close this file to actually make it simpler. So now if I just change, and I'll just duplicate this as well, I'm gonna save it. Once I save it, it sees, you see that on the terminal, it says starting index and finished index. So it updated the index file as well. So let's refresh the page, and there we go. So we got this hello AngularJS, hello AngularJS. Okay, so now our app is up and running, and from the next video we are going to work on our AngularJS application, AngularJS quiz application, guy. So in this course, you have learned how to use Gulp and how to make your development faster as well. So now we don't really worry about anything except working on our quiz app. We just let it watch, change the file, refresh the browser, and that's about it. Alright guys, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to create a menu bar which will have 3 buttons: quiz home, create quiz, and take quiz. Now with that, let's get started. So first of all, we create a div container here. So I'll just say class, I'll use bootstrap container, and I'm just gonna create another div. So let's just say simple div, and I'm gonna wrap this container inside this div actually. So let's just do it. Okay, now one thing we want to show you is that I'm going to be using a CSS framework called Bootstrap. So I'm just going to take you to Bootstrap. So here we have a website name is getbootstrap.com. So I'm going to take you to the home page. So now this is Bootstrap, and we are using Bootstrap version 3.3.7. How do I know this? Is because if I go to libs directory, and here I have a bootstrap.js, and I look at it, this is the version. Okay, so if it's too small, I'll just zoom it in. Okay, so this is the version we're using. So now we need to go to the documentation of that same bootstrap, and I'm just gonna increase the size for that. So here we have a bootstrap beta version 4.0, but we are looking at 3.37. Now here, if we go to components, and I'll go navigate to navbar, and here I'm going to use this built-in navigation bar from Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a great framework. I would highly recommend, if you're learning a front-end development, you make sure you learn this, because it's going to help you a lot and it's going to make your life easier. Alrighty, so let's go back, and we have created a container. Now let's go and create a file for our template, a menu bar. So we go to app folder. In the template, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to create a new HTML file, and I'm going to name it menu bar. Alright, and now we have created a file. So if I go to project files, let's click on that. Now it's much cleaner, so we are able to see everything we need to see here. Okay, so let's go and create a menu bar here. So I'm just going to delete this default HTML created by WebStorm, and we'll go and create a menu bar from Bootstrap. So I'll start by typing nav tag, and then I'll just give a class of navbar space navbar dash, and I will type here, we need a navbar dark, and bg, we can say dark as well. Well, this is our own classes which we will create later, but for now just use the navbar, and I'll just say navbar justified. Alright, and then we'll just come down here, and let's create a new div, make a class of nav, and then we just say justify content, okay, so there's a class content dash center. Okay, so it's gonna center our menu bar, or even if it's not, then we can fix that later. Now we need to create 3 buttons. So I'm just gonna use HTML5 input elements. So type button, we can just give a class of btn dash, we can use primary, and then we are going to give a value as well. So let's just say value quiz home. Okay, and then I'm gonna duplicate this 3 times, and we're gonna make the value of create quiz, and I'll just say take quiz. Okay, let's save this file. Now if I go and restart my server by pressing Ctrl+C, and I'm just gonna make it bigger, guys, for you guys. Okay, so So we got the menu bar here, and then how do we inject that into our Angular application? We go back to index.html, and here if I take you guys to a documentation of Angular.js, there is a directive called ng-include, which basically fetches and compiles, includes an external HTML fragment. So that's what we want to use, right? So we want to grab this external HTML and put it in our application. So we have this menu bar here. Let's go back to index.html, and we will use ng-include directive now. So inside that container, I will go and create another container. I will just say class. We can say content or container fluid. Or maybe we can just, hang on a second, we can modify this container FUL. Okay, so we have a container fluid, and inside that we have a div, and I'm going to use ng-include is equal to, and then we need to have a relative path for this menu bar. So right click and copy a relative path. If you're not using WebStorm, you should have an option, or maybe install an extension in your IDE, which will let you copy the path of the file. So here, this is the path of the file, and that's it. I'm gonna push it here. Now we're just gonna have to indent it. So I just indented our HTML file. Now we have got that, but if I go and build our project, so if I go Gulp build, it's gonna go and build a template file for us as well, template.js file. So we go back to project, we look at the dist file source, and here we have a template.js file, which has this service injected inside template cache, and has our indexed menu bar HTML. So for that, we are gonna go back to project files and index.html, and inside that I want to inject that template.js file. So here we go, source src/template.js. All right, let me just double check the name of the file. I don't want to misspell it, so it's template.js. That's fine. All right, guys. So now I'm gonna start another server here. Sorry, another terminal, and here I want to leave a command gulp watch. So I want to just make sure the gulp is always watching of my changes. I'll press enter, and it's gonna just staying there and keep watching any changes we make in our project. So we don't have to do gulp build and gulp build again and again. So I'm just gonna remove this, close this session, and here we start our server again by typing npm start. All right, our service has started. I'm gonna refresh the page, and we should be able to see templates coming up. Okay, we don't really see that now. We can go to console and try to fix the bug. What's wrong with it? Okay, it says that template is there. We go look at this resources. We don't have a template, so we actually need to do gulp build for last time. So gulp build. It's gonna go in here, the index file as well, and push it in there. All right, cool. Now let's refresh the page. Now if we look at resources, now we have a template file. Cool bananas, right? We have properly injected that. Now let's go look at index.html. We have this app/templates dot menu bar HTML. So let's just refresh the page. It's not showing. I've got to figure out why it's not showing. So we go back to index.html, and we can see ng-include is there or not. Let's have a look at this, guys. So okay, now there's another issue I just figured out. Now every time you use this ng-include, if I go to documentation, you're gonna have to use this single quotes inside, because it takes an attribute as a string. So here we have this template. So AngularJS expression evaluates the URL. If the source is a string constant, make sure you wrap it in a single quotes. So we're gonna wrap it in a single quotes now. So I'm just gonna add a single quote here, and then add a single quote here as well. And now I'm going to show you that if we look at our watch element, so if I save this, it's going to go and change the index file as well. So now let's go and refresh the page, and there we go. We got 3 buttons there. We didn't quite get it right in the middle, but we can work on that later in the course. So we got our menu bar done, guys. In the next video, we are going to continue our adventure of creating this amazing quiz app. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to add some CSS to our navigation bar, plus we are going to add few stuff in our app.js file. So first of all, let me show you, I have added this navbar default class, and I just got this class implemented inside navbar dash buttons as well. Alright, so now currently our application look like this. So we have these navbars right there, okay? I'm gonna add a CSS so we could make it a little bit better. So I'm just gonna paste that CSS here. We're actually gonna remove some stuff here, okay? Now I have the CSS here, and I'm just going to refresh the page to show you guys. So now this is how our navigation bar look like. We can add something here. For example, we have this tab here, right? So I'm gonna add some margin, and I'm gonna add some padding to the left. So here we'll go to navbar. So I'm gonna just debug. So you get this select element, select that, and we have .nav padding set to 0. So now we are going to get a .nav class going here. So we'll just go .nav, and we get just padding left. I'm gonna set that to, let's just say 15 pixels. Right, I'm gonna refresh the page, and now we got some padding going on there. All right, so we have a nice animation here, guys. So now we have successfully created our navigation bar. Now let's go and add few modes in our application. So I'm just gonna close these files, and then we are going to go to app.js file. All right, so now we are going to create few constants object. So we need a constant of app information, we need a constant of app modes, we need a constant of take quiz mode. So let's create all of those now. So we are going to use this quiz app variable dot constant, and then name of the constants object. So here we'll just say app information, and it's going to take an object. So we just add 2 keys. So here first is going to be app name, and we can set that to quiz app. All right, and then the next key, version of our app, and we can set that to 1.0.0. It's up to you, whatever the version you want to give. Next constant we are going to make is going to be app mode, which is quite interesting because we're not going to be using routing at all. It's going to be a single page application without routing. We're going to be using ng show and ng hide according to these modes, which is a little bit tricky approach. So constant and then app mode. Now we have some modes. For example, we have a start mode, we have create quiz mode, we have add question mode, success quiz mode, result quiz, and take quiz. I've actually already written those modes, so I'm just gonna copy the code here so you guys don't have to watch me typing. And if you want to type it, then you can basically pause the video here and then just type these modes here. So it's just a simple constant object. All right, next we have is quiz app dot constant, and then it's going to be take quiz mode. All right, it's gonna take an object as well, and here we have 3 modes: select quiz, take questions, and show results. So I'm just gonna copy and paste them as well. So we got our quiz mode done. The next we are going to go to controller. So let's go to controller.quiz.quizcontroller.ds file, and we are going to remove these files now. Now we got all the modes are done, and in the next video we are going to create an object for our quiz. Welcome back. In this video we are going to create a factory object for quiz and for question. So let's go to JS folder and let's create another directory here. So we just name it factories, and inside factory folder I'm going to create a JavaScript file and I'm going to name it quiz. Now here I'm going to start writing a code for quiz factory. So here first of all we just tell him what we're doing. So angular.module, and then the name of our module, which is quiz app. So this is the same name we're using in here. So here we create a module, so we're using the same module. So we're creating a factory for this module. Let's go back to quiz, and I'm just gonna paste that here. Oops, I need to copy this and then paste that here so I don't make any spelling mistake. And then dot factory. And then here the name of the factory first. So we just name it quiz. It takes a callback function. Just add a semicolon here. And then here we are going to create a variable. So let's just say we create a quiz variable. We just set that to function. So inside our quiz we are going to add another variable. I'm going to name it self, and I'm going to set that to this. So the reason why I'm doing this is because later on, if you would think that we're going to add some functionality in our factory, for example, a specific task that we want this factory to accomplish, and inside any other function, if you want to access any global variable, then we can do that by using self. All right, so here the next thing we are going to do is we're going to set this dot, I'm going to set deep copy whitelist. I'm creating an array of whatever the things we need. So here we'll just say an array, and we first of all we need to know the quiz name, and then author, and then how many questions they wanna add to the quiz. So right now we are going to create a quiz, right? Taking quiz is a different story. We do that later, but for now, let's say we are question length, and then we are going to have how many questions. So let's just questions. Oops, I need to put that in a single quotes, and that would be questions. All right, so that's an array, we got it. Next we are going to add few things here. So this dot author, we're gonna set that to empty for now. This dot quiz name, we're gonna set that to empty. So basically the array we created, that would be used to match and validate stuff. So this dot question length, set that to empty, and then we have this dot questions, set and make it to empty array, and then we have something like this dot choices length, we set that to 4. Okay, so choices length, so choices length. So we got this, and we just want to return this, okay, from this factory object. So we can just say return quiz. Okay, now we create our quiz factory. Now same with the quiz, we're going to create a question factory, which will help us to create some questions. So we are going to change the name of the file first. I just want to make it question, not questions. So refactor it, and I'm going to change the name to question. All right, so now here we write the same thing, Angular. I'm just going to make it bigger to it's easier for you guys to look at. So Angular dot module, and then module is quiz app, and then we're creating a factory for that, and the factory name, I'm gonna name it just simple question with the capital Q. All right, and then it takes a function, callback function there, add a semicolon here. Now same as we are going to create a variable, so we can just say question. We set that to function, and inside that we just say self is equal to this, and then we're going to create this dot question is equal to, we just set that to empty for now, and oops, and then this dot choices is equal to, and we're gonna have an object. So there are 4 choices, right? So we can say choice 1, and we set that to empty for now. Choice 2, we can set that to empty. Choice 3, and then choice 4. All right, so we got that, and next thing we need is this dot answer, and then we set that to empty string as well. All right, so here we need to make sure that we got var there instead of va. So now we have created a factory for a question as well. So here we're getting a function. Function has this dot question, this dot choices is an object which has 4 choices there, and then we have this dot answer there, and then we're gonna return this. So whenever we call this factory, then we can just return question. So I just want to make sure that I don't miss any semicolons. I don't want to see any errors. All right, so this is done. Question and quiz factories are done. So in the next video, we are going to work on a controller. Welcome back, guys. In this video, we are going to create quiz container for our application. So let's go into the templates. We're going to create a new folder, and we will name our folder, let's just say models, right? And then inside that, we're going to create a new HTML5 file, which is, we're going to call it quiz container. And inside that, we're just going to make it bigger for you guys to look at it better. And then here we are going to create, first of all, div. I'm gonna, class name would be quiz container, and then we are going to leave that empty for now, but we need to create a directive for this. We're gonna use this in our Angular application. So we created the file, HTML file. Now we're gonna create a JavaScript file for this. So the class, this quiz container class, is coming from our manual CSS. So if I go to style, here I have the quiz container class, which has a width of 100%, height 600 pixels, padding 60, and the background color is this. All right. So now we are going to close this, and then we go back to quiz container, and here we're gonna add a lot of stuff now. So we'll leave that empty for now, and now we are going to create a directive file for this. For that, we are going to go to JS folder, and I'm gonna create a new directory, which will have all of our models. So I create a model, and inside that, we're going to create another JavaScript file, and we call it quiz container. All right, inside that we are going to create a directive. So Angular, I'm going to make it bigger for you guys. So Angular dot module is quiz app, and then use directive. So as we use factory, we're going to use the directive now. So directive, and we're going to name our directive to, let's just say, quiz container as well. It takes a callback function, and then inside that we just return an object. So we just, first of all, we just restrict it to, let's say, just the element, and then we're gonna type the template URL, and that would be the path of our HTML file for quiz control. So I'm just gonna right click, copy relative path, and I'm just gonna paste that here. Alright, so that makes it a directive. Now we can use this directive in our application. So we created a quiz container, JavaScript file. We created a quiz container for HTML file. Now we're gonna create a few other files. For example, we need a container for quiz success container and take quiz container as well. So let's just do them as well. So here we're going to create another file. I'm gonna name this file quiz success container, and let's just delete this default HTML. I'm just gonna make it bigger, and inside that we are just going to create a div for now. So let's say div, and name it class text LG dash center. So this is going to be a class. We just leave that empty, or we can just create another class here in like a div container with a class of container fluid, and then we'll just leave that empty for now. We need a JavaScript file for that, so right click, create a JS file here, and we're gonna name it quiz success container. Right, same as with the quiz container. We're just gonna make it bigger, and we'll just type angular.module, and module name is quiz app, and then it's a directive. We're creating a directive here, and then we are going to name our directive as, let's just say, we just call it the same name. So we just say quiz success container. Alright, it takes callback, and then we are going to first of all return an object. So we just restrict it with element, and then we need to use another key, template URL, template URL, yep. And then same with that, we're gonna copy the relative path, and I'm just gonna paste that path here. Alright, so that makes the quiz success container, guys. Let's close both of these. And another one we need is, let's just say, take quiz container. Same, we're going to type angular.module. Module is going to be quiz app, and then we are going to create a directive for that, and then the name. So I'm just going to make it bigger for you guys to look at it. And we can name this as take quiz container as well. So take quiz container. Alright, takes a callback, and then return an object. We just restrict it to E. So I'm just gonna make sure that I've got the right spelling of restrict. So yep, that's fine. And then the second key, template URL, and we just copy the relative path for that, which we don't have yet, so we just leave it empty for now. We're gonna create another model here, so let's just create another HTML file. We're gonna name it take quiz container. Let's delete all the HTML, and let's just make it bigger, and we can just create a few things here. First of all, let's just say we are going to create a div here, class of, let's just say, just a container, and we'll just leave that empty for now. Alright, and then we go back to take quiz container, and we copy the relative path of this file. So let's just copy the relative path and then just paste it here, and that makes it a directive as well. So here we got the 3 containers now, and now we can use this container in our application. Alright guys, from this video and onwards, we are going to work on the functionality of our application. Now right now I am in quiz controller, and we are going to inject few things into a controller. So first of all, let's go and inject our quiz factory, inject our question factory, So the reason why I'm writing that in an array is because I will minify this application so it will run faster. So we got a quiz there, we got a question there, and then we need app modes as well. So here we'll just type, let's just bring in app mode, and then we need app information. So let's just say app information, and then we need take quiz mode as well. So take quiz mode as well. So we have injected a few things. We injected this quiz factory, this question factory, and if we go to the app.js file, here we have a constant of app information, app mode, and take quiz mode. So I'm just gonna open this into parallel, like horizontally. Actually, we can just open this vertically. So split vertically, and here we will look at, so we have injected app mode, spelling is alright, take quiz mode, spelling is alright, and app information. So that's right now. So we have injected those. Now we're gonna add them into function as well. So we will just say, I'm actually gonna bring it down, so into next line. So we just say quiz, and we are going to add scope actually first. So let's just say $scope, and then we need quiz, then we need question, and then we need app mode. So WebStorm is giving me a suggestion as well, and then we need app information, and then take quiz mode. That's right. So we got these services injected in our controller. Now we are going to inject a couple of more services here we're gonna use. So we need another service called $window, which is a built-in service in AngularJS. So we will have to use that for some functionality. So we added that $window as well. So we gotta inject that here as well. So type $window. Right, so now inside our container, we need to create few variables from on our scope object. All right, first of all, I'm gonna be a little bit of tricky here. I'm just gonna set a window.quiz app scope, and I'm gonna set that to $scope. Now, from anywhere in the application, we can access our scope on a controller using this quiz app scope. That could help us a lot. All right, so now let's add a few things. First of all, we will add modes of our application into a scope. So we'll just say, I'll add a comment. These are the application modes. All right, now we add scope dot, we just say app mode is equal to app mode. All right, and then we have another one, scope dot take quiz mode is equal to take quiz mode. Then we have scope dot, we have take quiz mode, and then we have application information as well. So application app information, we can just say information is equal to app information. All right, and then we have take quiz mode as well, done, app mode, application quiz mode. All right, so these three things are done there. Next, we need to create few more variables on a scope. So I'll just add a comment using factories, okay, in our controller. So we just go get the scope object dot, and we create a quiz now. So let's just say we add quiz is equal to, we can create a new instance of from our factories by using the new keyword, and then we just say quiz. All right, so we add this. Now it's gonna go and create a quiz empty object from this factory. Now there's a few other things that we can add here as well. We didn't add a quiz mode as well. So there's another object we need here, which will basically determine what mode are we at right now. So we have a quiz mode is equal to app mode dot start. Okay, so now where this thing coming from, if we go back to app.js. So here we can see we have start app and inside our app mode. So that's what we're accessing, and we're saving that into quiz mode. So that when the application start, it will start from the app mode.start. Next, we have a few more scope objects where we can say scope dot, I'm gonna name this scope object a variable loaded. We're gonna set that to false, and then we have scope dot start quiz object, a variable you can call it, and then I'm just set it to false as well. So the quiz hasn't loaded and the quiz hasn't started yet, so we set them to false. Next, we created a new instance from our quiz, and then same as that, we are going to create another instance from our question. So I'm gonna just name it question is equal to new question. So we create that, and then we have another object which we will use, for example, potential question. So once the quiz load, I'm talking about in the future, you will understand when we need this. So for now, we just leave that here. Now we are going to write a function which will change the modes of our application. So I'm going to write scope dot change app mode. I'm going to name it change app mode is equal to, I'm going to set this to function, and we're going to need a parameter for that. So we just say mode. And then once we change the mode of an application, we are going to do a few things. First of all, we are going to get that scope dot question, and I'm going to make another instance, a new instance from our question factory. Next, we have a scope dot, we have a quiz mode, and we're gonna set that to the mode we get. So this is the mode we pass in. We're gonna get that, and we're gonna make that mode active. Next, we're gonna make quiz loaded, scope dot quiz loaded to false. Okay, so this is the function which is going to help us to change the modes of an application. We need another function which will help us to clear fields or forms from our application. So whether if we want to create a new quiz or create a new question, then we need a function which will help us to do that. So we can write that function here. So I'm just going to write a comment. This function will clear the forms. Okay, and we add that to a scope object dot, we just name it clear fields, or clear field is equal to, I need to make the spelling right, is equal to function, and basically all it's gonna do, it's gonna grab that scope quiz variable and then set that to new quiz. Okay, I'm gonna make it bigger for you guys to look at it, and then it's going to empty the question as well. So scope dot question, do we have a question yet? Yes, we do. So QU is equal to new question. All right, so now we have two functions to change the app mode, to clear the fields. And there's few scope variables we need to add here before we can start working on our modules. So here, if we go down here, so we'll just write something like helper variables. Okay, and then here we need to have a few things. For example, we are going to create a scope object which we name it potential question is equal to null for now, and then we have a counter for our application, so we just say scope.count, and we set that to 0 for now. It's gonna count the questions or quiz or a few other things, we will talk about it. Now scope.count questions, and I'm gonna set that to 1. Okay, so question is gonna start from 1, not from 0. And there's another scope variable we need, which will be question limit exceeded. So it's gonna check whether the question limit has been exceeded. So we are creating a quiz of 4 questions, so we want to make sure that we just create 4 questions, not more than that. So this scope variable is going to help us to look at the length of the question. So I'm just going to say question limit exceeded is equal to false. It's not exceeded yet. Now we have some validation, so we are going to write a comment here. So validation variables, so variables, right? And then here we have scope dot is the question valid. So we just create another scope object named a valid question. So I'm just gonna set that to true for now. Okay. And we have another object which will help us to determine whether the question the user answered is false or it's true. So let's create that as well. So we just say checking question variables. All right, and here we create scope dot, and I'm just going to name this correct answer or question answered. Question answered is equal to, and I'm gonna set that to false. And then we have another scope which will save our answers for us to later on look at whether the answer was what was correct or not. So we just say here correct answer, and we just set that to empty array. And the last we need is to check on a scope object. We create current question, and we just set that to null for now. All right, so let me go through all of these scope objects for now. So here we have application modes. So for now we have application mode set to app mode, take quiz mode, application information. Then we have a quiz mode which will start from app mode.start, quiz loaded, start quiz. So we set them to false because we haven't loaded anything yet. And then we created these 2 scope objects which will create an instance of quiz and instance of question. And then we have a change app mode function which will help us to change the mode of the application. Then we have this function which will clear the forms for us. So yep, that's about this for this video, guys. In the next video we are going to work further on our controller. Welcome back. In this video we are going to modify menubar.html file to change our modes. For example, if I click on take quiz mode, it should go to take quiz mode. If I go on create quiz mode, it should go to create quiz mode. And if I click on quiz home, it should go to quiz home. All right, so first of all, let me show you another directive called ngValue. So we can actually make this value dynamic. So for example, we have this constant. We have constant on our module quiz app. So we in that constant we have this key app name, and it says quiz app. So we want to show this to our menu item. So this is the menu button. I want to show that here. So I'm gonna go back to menubar.html, and here first of all I'm gonna change this to ng-value, and then I'm gonna change the value inside. So on our controller we actually created an instance of our constant. So here we have app information. I'm just gonna give a space here to separate it. So here we have app information. So inside app information we have two keys and 2 values. So app name, and then we have a version. So I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm just gonna take this and then paste it here, and we have dot app name. All right, I'm gonna save the file, and I'm gonna go and refresh the browser, and you look at it, it will change. So I'm gonna refresh it, and now it says quiz app instead of quiz home. So here, if we go to this file and if I change this to quiz application, I'm going to save this, and now if I go refresh the browser, it should say quiz application. Okay, and here we'll change this to quiz home. So if we want to show quiz home, we can show that here as well by refreshing the browser. Now we have that dynamically. We go back to the menu bar, and here we are going to add a few things. So first of all, we are going to add a click event using AngularJS directive called ng-click. So here I'll type ng-click is equal to, and I'm going to use this function change app mode function, which we created in the last video. So here we have a change app mode function, which will take a parameter, and then inside that it will just change the value of quiz mode according to the value we pass in to this parameter. So we have a scope object quiz mode, and this is going to help us to change the modes of our application. So let's go back to menu bar, and here we'll just say change app mode. It's a function. So here we'll type app mode dot start app. Let's save it. And now basically what's going to happen when someone's going to click on this, it's going to take them to and change the value of app mode, sorry, to quiz mode to this value. So once we change the value, then it will change the mode of our application as well. And one more thing we want to do here, after we use this function, we want to clear the fields as well. So after this, I will use clear field function, which we created in the last video. So clear field function there as well, so we can execute both of these functions. I'm going to save it, and then the next one we are going to use the next button, and we are going to, let's just say ng-click is equal to, and now I'm gonna use change app mode function, and I'm gonna pass in app mode dot, it's giving you some suggestions. So here we go, app mode dot, and we can use create quiz mode. So here we have a create quiz mode. I'm just gonna take this and I'm just gonna paste that here in case I do a spelling mistake. So that's right. So here we got that now. And after that, we have a third button, which we want to add a click event. So here we use ng-click is equal to change app mode and app mode dot, and we are going to take people to take the quiz. So here we have a take quiz key. I'm gonna copy that and I'm just gonna paste that here. Alright, so it's gonna help us to change the modes for us. So I'm gonna just indent that properly, and let's just save it. Alright, so now let's go to the file we created in the model template. We created the quiz container. Now inside this, we are going to create few divs here. So I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to use a directive from AngularJS, which is ng-show. I'm going to set is equal to quiz mode is equal to app mode dot create quiz. So we go to app file and we're gonna double click on this and copy that, and then we go back here and then just paste it here. So what it's doing, basically it is going to show this container if the value of the quiz mode is equal to app mode dot create quiz. And then we got that, and then we have some other divs as well. So I'm just gonna copy and paste so you don't have to see me typing. I'm just gonna paste a few of these here. So there we go. So we have 4 divs here. I'm just going to delete a few of these. We haven't created them yet. So here what we're doing, basically we are just showing these when the value gets changed to this. And inside these we can create a different forms and different containers to show which are going to make our application work. All right, so this is what we have right now. Now we'll come back to this, but first of all, let's look at our application for now. So I'm just gonna go and refresh the page, and I'm gonna click on create quiz, take quiz, quiz home. It's not working at all. It's not showing you anything. So to show that, we are going to add a few things into a container. So here we have a success container, take quiz container. So is that taking us to take quiz container right here in this take quiz container? So I'm just gonna go and write a few things into our take quiz. So here we just say we can write h1, and we can write here take quiz container, and then we have success container. I'll just write something here as well. So just success container, and then we have this quiz container, the main container we have. Now we are going to add this quiz container into our index.html file. Let's go back, and here we will type, let's just come down, and we are going to create another container. So let's just say div class container, and then inside that, first of all, we are going to create a row. So div class, we create a row, and then we are going to create another div class. We can say call, and then inside that we're going to use quiz container. So here, if I open the less than equal to sign, and I'll just type quiz container dash container, and then let's save the file. So now basically this is AngularJS thing that it's gonna read this JavaScript file, and it's gonna grab this, and then it's gonna show us that element. I'm gonna save the file, and we're gonna refresh the page, and there you go. So we have this quiz container. Now I'm gonna go and change the CSS for our quiz container. So I'm just gonna change the color to the screen so we could look at it for now. So I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna refresh the page, and we have this container now. It's showing perfectly fine. And now inside our quiz container, we are going to create a few forms now. So our main structure of application is ready. Now we're just gonna add stuff into different containers. So let's start creating some forms in the next video. Welcome back, guys. In this video we are going to create some forms for creating quiz, creating questions, and question form. So let's go to JS file folder actually, and then create a new directory here. So here we'll name it forms. Inside that, I'm gonna create a new JavaScript file, and I'm just gonna name it open quiz. I'm gonna create another file. I'm gonna name it question form. Create another file and name it create quiz form. Alright, now we're gonna add some code in all of these files. So let's go to create quiz form first, and then here we'll type the same code to make it directive. So angular.module, and then we say quiz app and dot directive, and then name of a directive we can give it create quiz form. Alright, it takes a function, and let's add a semicolon. It's going to return. So first let's restrict it to just element, and then template URL, we're just gonna leave that blank for now because we haven't created those templates. So let's go and into folder, and we're gonna create a new directory, and I'm gonna name it forms. And inside that we create another HTML file, and we can name it create quiz form. All right, and then let's just delete the code here. we come back to it, but we go back to this file, and I'm going to copy the relative path and then just paste it here. Alright, so here we have created a create quiz form successfully. Let's delete that. We created a question form. Now let's just add the code for that as well. So we just make it bigger, and we can say Angular dot module quiz app and dot directive, and the name of our directive is going to be question form. Takes a function, it will return an object, so let's just restrict to just an element, and then template URL, we just leave it blank for now. We're gonna go form, let's create another form, and we can just name this, it's a question form, so we just name it question form. Alright, let's just delete the whole code. Let's go back to the file, and then here we'll just right click and copy relative path, and then I'm gonna paste that here. That's right, we created this directive as well. The next form we created is an open quiz, so we'll just add the same code here as well. Angular dot module name is quiz app, and then it's creating a directive. We need to type the directive name, and here we can just say open quiz. Takes a function, and then we can just say return, and we can just restrict it to just an element. Alright, template URL, we need to create that. So here we go to forms, we create another HTML file, and here we just say open quiz. Let's delete this code, save it. We go back to our directive.js file, and I'm going to right click and copy the relative path, and I'm just gonna paste that here. Alright, so I'm just gonna close a few files, and we come back and we open whatever file we need. Now we basically created some forms here, 3 forms. We have the JS files there as well, and we can use these forms in our applications now because we create them as directive. Now I'm just gonna grab some code from my notepad where I wrote this code before. So first of all, we are going to create a form for quiz. So when we're gonna create a new quiz, so we're going to use this form. So we just go and create a form here, and I'm just gonna name the form is new underscore quiz. I'm gonna say ng submit, and here we need to use a function which we haven't created yet, but we will create that function. But first, let's create a form. So here we have a div, we have a class, I would just say it's a form group, and then inside that we have some inputs now. So here we just go input type would be text, and then I'm gonna name this to author, and then we're gonna use the ng model. You remember I showed you two-way data binding, so we use ng model directive, and here we can just say quiz dot author class, it's a form control, and we can add a placeholder as well, we just say author. Alright, let's just save this. Okay, now what's happening here is basically we're creating a form, we're using an ng model to make a data binding to our controller. So let's go and open the controller as well. I'm gonna open that side by side so we could talk about it a bit. Now here we have question form where we actually mistakenly we created this. I'm just gonna grab this form code and I'm gonna paste it, create quiz form. Alright, so here basically what's happening, we have created an instance of factory object called quiz, and we store that into scope.quiz, and this thing has a keys now. So author a question length, and all that stuff are already in there. So we're just filling it up by using this form. So I'm just gonna paste some code from snippet. So I'm just gonna come down here. Now let me just explain to you one more time. So inside this we have keys. So we're using this quiz.quizName, quiz.quizLength, and then we have this submit button, which will create a form for us. Now we're gonna go and create add quiz function on our controller. Let's go to the controller, and here I'm just gonna close this and come down, and here we're gonna create an add quiz function. So write a comment. This function will create a quiz for us. All right. Now here we're gonna add that to scope, so we could basically use it. So add quiz is equal to, we set that to function, and then inside that we're not gonna write anything yet. Instead, we are going to create a new service. I've created a new JavaScript file and created this service folder, and there's a file called quizhelper.js. I'm just gonna open that, and then inside that we are going to create a service first. So let's just say Angular. I'm gonna make it bigger, .module, and then here we just use our quiz app module.service, and the name of the service is going to be quiz helper, and then it's going to inject two dependencies, a quiz object and a question object. So let's do that. Instead we do it later, we can do it right now. So here I'm gonna add question, and then I'm gonna add quiz, and then it's gonna take a function which will have a quiz and then question. So we injected those in our service. All right, now we are going to create a variable self. I'm going to set that to this, and then I'm going to create another variable which has question array, and I'm going to set that to empty for now. And then we are going to create another variable, so but we're going to set that to this. So we do this dot quiz is equal to, we just leave that an empty object for now. And we have another variable which is going to help us to count the questions. Let's do that. And now we are going to use another variable, and we can add another function. Add quiz function is equal to function, and it's gonna take a quiz from our controller and set that self dot quiz to quiz. All right, so what it's doing basically, it's taking a quiz and it's setting that quiz to our this quiz object. All right, so here we have our function which will add the quiz to our object. Now how do we use this? To use this function in our controller, we need to set this variable which has a function. So we can just say here this dot add quiz is equal to add quiz, and that's how we can use this outside this service. All right, so we got that now, and then we go back to controller, and here we write the code for us. So first of all, we are going to basically add a validation check as well. So we can use our scope.valid question, so valid question variable, and I'm gonna set that equal to nothing for now, okay, because there's gonna be another function in our service which is going to help us to check whether it's a valid question or not. So in the next video we are going to finish our service for quiz app. Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video we are gonna finish working on our quiz helper service. Let's create a function which will load the quiz into our application. So first of all, let's create a variable, and we just say load quiz is equal to function. It's gonna take a quiz, and then remember we set this window object. So here, window scope, window.quiz app scope, and we set that to scope, so we can access this scope by using this quiz app scope now. So let's use that now. So I'm gonna say quiz app scope dot quiz is equal to new, and we create a new quiz, and after that we have quiz app scope dot quiz, and then we wanna parse that into a JSON file. So we say JSON dot parse, and then we just say parse the quiz, and then after that we have a validation for quiz app scope dot quiz name. All right, if that is not equal to empty, then what it should do, it should say quiz app scope dot quiz loaded is equal to true. So here basically we are loading the quiz, and we have a variable on a scope object, quiz loaded. So basically that will become true. So that's how we can check whether the quiz has been loaded or not. All right, so we got the load function done, and the next function in the quiz helper we want to create is save quiz to JSON file. So we'll go and say save quiz to JSON. So let's just say quiz to JSON is equal to function. It's gonna take a quiz as a parameter, and then what it's gonna do, let's create a data variable, and then we can say make JSON and make it stringify, and then we just make it stringify the quiz object. And then we have something else that we're gonna talk about it, but we just create it for now, and we create a new blob. Actually, we don't worry about this function right now. We're just gonna delete this for now, but we'll come back to it. Now, a few functions which are important we want to create first. So first of all, we want to create a function which will send a question back to our quiz. So send question, I'll take a function, and it's going to take a question, and then self dot question. So we'll create a self dot question object on the top. So self dot question is equal to question, and let's just say if count less than equal to self dot quiz dot question length, then what it should do is should call a function which we haven't created, push question to array. Otherwise, if that's not the case, then it just do a console.log, and it would just print out question limit exceeded. So we just say send an error message, question limit exceeded. All right, now let's create a function push question to array, and that would go underneath first. So we'll create a function push question to array is equal to function, and it's gonna take a question, and then inside that we simply have to get that question array dot push, and we just push that question into the array. Simple as that. And then we go back to our send question function, where if that becomes true, then we can just call that put question to array, and then we just pass in self dot question there. Pretty simple. And then we just make sure that we do count plus plus, so if that gets exceeded, it should not do that. All right, now we have that function send question there, we have this function push question to array, and now we're gonna have a main function which is going to help us to actually add the question to the quiz. So let's finish writing that as well. So we go let's just say add question to quiz is equal to function, and it's gonna take a question. Actually, it's gonna take a quiz first, and then we have question array dot for each, and then we go callback function there, and we're gonna see the choices, and then we get let choices is equal to, or we can just create a variable, not a big deal. We don't have to use the ECMAScript 6, and then choices is equal to choice. And then if something's alright, then we can just say quiz dot questions dot, and we can just say push, and then we can just push choices object there, push variable there. So that's going to help us to push the question into an array. Now we have another function to work on, which is going to parse the JSON question to JSON to parse. So we create that as well. So JSON to parse is equal to function. It's gonna help us to return question array. All right, let's look at what we have so far. We don't have a saved quiz to JSON yet. Now we need another function which will help us to actually check if it's a valid question or not. That's a bit of complicated function, so you gotta pay attention here. So I'm just gonna make it smaller. Let's just create check valid question is equal to passing function, and it's gonna take a question, and then we just say valid question. We set that to false for now. Then I'm gonna use the Lodash library to use for in. So I'll just say dot for in, and it's actually for in, and then it's gonna take a question dot, and it's gonna take a function, and it's gonna take a value key, and then we can say if value is not equal to empty, then it should say valid question is equal to true. All right, otherwise it should return, I forgot the code block here, so we just push this up there, and then else, if not, then valid question is equal to false. Okay, that's gonna tell it's not a valid question. And then after that, we are going to just return the valid question. So return a valid question. So that's going to help us if it's a valid question or not. Now we have something that we need to check about valid questions, but we'll come back onto that later. So let's save the file, and let's write that function as well right now. So we can write save quiz to JSON function as well. So we just say var save quiz to JSON function, and it's gonna take a quiz, and then it's gonna have a data, and then we set that JSON.stringify. We're gonna make it stringify the quiz object, and then we're going to use the file API to store the data into our computer. So we can just go blob, new, create a blob with HTML5, and it's going to take an array of data. So we just set that to data, and then we need to type a type of the data. So we just say in the object, we can say type would be text /JSON, and or it can be jar set is equal to UTF-8. All right, so we have that object there, and then basically it's just gonna save that data there. Alright, so we have finished writing our service and we have all the functions. Now to make these functions available outside this service, we need to add them to this service the way we did add quiz function there. So here let's quickly do that. So this dot send question is equal to send question. Alright, and I'm actually going to copy and paste these, or maybe we can just quickly write it. So check valid question is equal to check a valid question. So we are able to access this dot. Now we have push question to array. So push question to array is equal to push question to array. That's fine. And then we have this dot JSON to parse is equal to JSON to parse. And then we have this dot add question to quiz is equal to add question to quiz. And then we have this dot save quiz to JSON. So save quiz to JSON is equal to save quiz to JSON. Alright, and then we have this dot load quiz function as well. So load quiz function there. So now we are able to use all of these functions into our application. We got some error here, save quiz to JSON. That's a little bit weird, so we can change this to JSON. Alright, let's save it. And in the next video, we're going to use these functions. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to write a function for adding quiz and adding questions. So first of all, let's finish the add quiz function, which is going to be very simple and short. So now we can use the quiz helper service, but we need to check whether we have injected that or not. So we haven't actually injected that quiz helper service. So here I will add quiz helper, and then inside our scope we are going to add quiz helper service. Alright, so here we have a quiz helper and a quiz helper. Let's match the name as well. We go back and then we see quiz helper is there. I'm gonna copy this name and make sure that spelling is same. Alright, so now let's add a function to add a quiz, and then we write a function to add a question to the quiz as well. Alright, so I'm in the scope.add function. So here we are going to use that quiz helper service now to add question to our quiz. So let's do that. So I'll just type quiz helper dot, there's a function in there called add quiz. That's the one. And then we're gonna pass in that scope dot quiz object. Alright, and then we are going to check if app mode dot create quiz. Alright, and if that's true, if that's there, then we're gonna change the mode to change mode, and then we can pass in app mode dot add question mode. So this is what we're gonna change to. Alright, this is very simple function. It's gonna go and it's gonna add the quiz. Once the quiz gets added, and if it's true, then it's gonna change the mode to add questions, and then we're gonna go to the next step while we add the questions. Now let's create a function which is going to help us to add questions. So I'll add that to scope object as well. I'll name it add question is equal to function. And here we need to check a lot of things. We have a lot of things to check. First of all, let's check whether the question we're adding is valid or not. So we can use that quiz helper service function check a valid question to check whether the question is valid or not. So dot valid question. So we have Boolean variable which has a value of false right now. So if scope.valid question, and we're gonna set that equal to quiz helper dot check valid question, and we're gonna pass in the question object. So scope dot question object inside. Now when we go and check if it's a question is a valid question, then we come back and would set whether it's true or false. So now if we can say scope dot valid question, and if it's false, we have this check that false, then what we want to do, we just want to return. Otherwise we can continue running this function, and we can check if scope dot question dot answer is equal to 0, then we can set scope dot valid question is equal to false as well. Okay, and then we have some jQuery, but we are going to write that later, and then we're just going to return from here. All right, next we need to send a question to add to our quiz. All right, so we go down, and down we write quiz helper dot send question, and inside that we pass in our question object. Oops, so question object, and then inside that we are going to check on the scope object. So if the question count question is less than scope dot quiz dot question length, then what it should do, then it should add scope dot count question to 1. Okay, so we want to add 1 to count question, and then it should do is it's gonna create a new instance of question from new question factory. All right, and if that's not the case, else we are going to say scope dot question limit exceeded is equal to true. We set that to true, and then we just do quiz helper dot add question to quiz. So once that limit is exceeded, then we can add question to the quiz. So we could say add question to the quiz, and then we're gonna pass in our scope dot quiz object. All right, and then we have another thing, we can change the mode now as well. So we have scope dot change app mode to app mode dot success quiz. So all right, so it's the quiz has been created successfully. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to have a function which will build our quiz into a JSON file. So we go scope dot build quiz is equal to function, and then we can use quiz helper service to build our quiz into JSON file, and then we say save quiz to JSON file, and then we pass in that scope dot quiz object. All right, now we have done our functions for creating quiz. Now the last thing we need to work on is creating our forms. So we created the form for creating a quiz. Now it's time for us to create a form for questions. That's the most important one. Now it's a long form, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna write one field of the form, and then I'm just gonna paste the code and I will go through with the form. So first of all, we create a form, and then I'm gonna name this form to question form, make it very simple. All right, we're gonna ng submit. When we submit this, we have add question, and then we create a div with the class of container. Inside that, we're going to create another div class of row. Inside that, we're going to create another div class of column, and we're going to set that MD to 12. Inside that we have an input field, so we type to text, and then we have an ng model directive, which we're going to set this to question.question, and then class is going to be form control. Placeholder, we can just say type question. All right, then we can set this to required. Basically it's going to make them type in before they submit the form. Alright, so here we have this. Now the rest of the form is pretty long, so I'm just going to copy and paste that code so I could explain to you guys, so you don't have to wait for me to type the rest of the code, which is going to be very long actually. So we have the code here. Now this is what we have right now. Let me quickly show you an application before we can explain this. So I'm going to take you guys to the application. I'm going to restart the server. Now we have a home, quiz home. I'm going to click on create quiz. So it's going to show this create quiz form. If I take quiz, it's going to disappear that. If I click on create quiz, it's going to bring it back. Now how this thing is working is because this is one container. It's just showing ng model. It's showing the form according to the value of an app mode. That's pretty much it is. Now here we need to have, actually I want to change the CSS to make the color look better. That color was awful, so here we can just grab some light color, maybe this color, and let's just refresh the page. I need to start the server. I need to start Gulp build. It's gonna take a few seconds before it's built complete, and then I would say Gulp watch. Now it's watching. So here if I refresh the page, I have a different color of that. Now if I click on create quiz, it's not gonna show anything, right? So now after we create this question form and we have created this create quiz form, we want to add these to our quiz container. So where is our quiz container? There you go. This is our quiz container. So here, if the app mode is equal to create quiz, then I want to show this create quiz form. So I'll just say create quiz form. And if app mode is equal to add question, then I want to say add question form. All right, and then if it's a success, then I want to show success form, quiz success container. And then we haven't done anything functionality for taking quiz. We'll worry about that later, but for now let's have a look. Now if I refresh the page, I'll go create quiz. I get this form here, so I'll just type my name, author Awais, and I'll just say quiz name Matt, and I'll select 2 questions I want to add. I'll click on create quiz, and now here we have this question and then choices for them. So if I click on one of them, it's gonna just make it default. This functionality is not active yet. We still have to work on that. But as you can see that it actually showed us the create new question model. So if we go back to question form, and here we're gonna have to figure out what's happening. So here we have this form control. It's taking this MD12, that's fine, and it should be in the container. So I will just go and refresh the page and have a look. Okay, that's fine. We have to type something in there to go to the next step, and then here we're gonna fix this UI stuff. Now if I click on this, it's gonna basically write questions, and I'm gonna select something, and it's gonna deselect everything else, and I'm gonna add a question, and now we get these questions there. I'm gonna add choices, correct, next question. So we added 3, I guess. So we have 3 questions there. I'm gonna click yes, so it shows us a success container. Okay, so now here on the success container, we're gonna have a button to actually save that into a JSON file and show us the quiz as well. But for now, we're gonna go and look at this form, so why it's not behaving the way we want it. So here we go back to quiz form, and now let me quickly explain to you input type button and you click it. Basically on the click directive, it actually changed the question answer is equal to this. It changed the value of question.answer to this value, whatever you select, and then it hides the rest of the correct buttons. That's pretty much it. It seems complicated, but you have the repository. Just download the repository, try to read it, and it's very, very simple. It's nothing, there's nothing complicated here. Now here we have some problems where it's basically going all the way there, so we want to change this to 8 as well. Let's save it and let's just refresh the page and create quiz. We're gonna go here and I'm gonna type one question, and now this is fine. We're gonna have another BR between these. So what I can do here, basically I can just go BR to make it look a bit nicer. Let's refresh the page and let's go to quiz type 2, and it actually didn't fix that. We're gonna have to figure out what's going on here. So basically what's happening, we can debug our application. So if we're gonna right click, inspect the element, let's inspect this element here, and we can see we have the property padding 6. We need the margin of 5 pixels or 6 pixels, and that's what we're gonna look at in the future when we have some UI fixes left. Welcome back, guys. In this video we are going to work on success container in our AngularJS quiz application. Alright, so here we had this issue in the last video. We've seen we had a spacing issue here. So I am actually going to add a CSS class which is going to fix that from Bootstrap. So here the class we didn't add, which is a form group class. I'm going to save the file and let's refresh our application. And then if I go click on create quiz, I'll just do a random quiz. I'll do add one question, create new, and now it's been fixed properly. All right. So now let's go to our success after we add questions. So for example, if I add any question here and I'll just go something like correct answer is this, and then we go add question and it says success container. All right. So now we are going to work on this page. So this page should show us the question we added, and if we want to save that into a JSON file or we want to just open that. All right, so let's get started with that, guys. I'm going to go to success container. This is the one, and here right now we have this H1. We're gonna remove this now. Now here we are going to use another directive called ng-repeat. That would be so cool to use that, because it's going to automatically loop through on our questions and show them. So let's create a table. So I'm just gonna start with a table class. I'm gonna use a Bootstrap class table, and we just say table, and I'm just gonna make it a bit dark table. I'm gonna use that, and then I'm gonna use ng-repeat. Now here, where do I want to repeat? So I want to open this quiz container vertically so we could look at it as well. So right now our quiz get stored in this question. So questions get stored here. Okay. So now it's on a scope object, so we can access this. So here I'm going to type question in quiz.questions. All right, so here I want to loop through all of this stuff, whatever questions we have there. I want to loop through on all of them. Now, then we are going to use th. We're going to use a t head, and basically it's a table head. And then here we add a table row, and then in the row I'm going to use content, so which use the th as a tag, and then we just scope and is equal to, we set that to call. All right, and then we are going to use questions. All right, these are the questions, and then I'm going to add a binary expression, and I'm going to say question. So this is question is coming from this question. Okay, and then I'm going to say question dot question. All right, so give me the question on the success page from this array or this loop. Then we create a table body here. So here I'm gonna use T body, and then in the body we create a table row, and in the table row we create TH. Now in TH I'm going to display all the choices of particular question. So on a table row I'm gonna use ng repeat again, and I'm gonna say choices in question dot choices. So this question is coming from here, okay, and that question is there, it's on a scope, it's on our scope, so we can access that. So here I'm going to say choices in question dot choices, and then inside this th we can type here, for example we use the th for heading, and then we can say choice, and then we are going to get out from here, and then we just use a binding expression and we type choices, okay, and it's going to show the choices for us. Now T body is done, and after that we are going to just close the table, and then we are going to get out from the div container, and then here we will just say we can add the label if we want to, and then we can say here you have successfully created a quiz, do you want to save it? Okay, and then next line we are going to use another div, and then class would be form group, and then I'm gonna add a button here, so let's just say type that would be a button. Our class we can define btn, and we can just use a primary button from Bootstrap, and then after that we need to call a function, so we use the ng-click event, and here we have a function on our scope which is a build quiz. So this is the one, right? So what it's gonna do, it's gonna call this quiz helper service, and it's gonna call this function save quiz to JSON. We're gonna have a look at that. So now we have this function here. So what it does basically, it goes save, it gets the quiz which we're passing from here, it creates a data, it stringifies the quiz, and it creates a new blob. And here we forgot to do one thing. We have to use save as, and then we're going to save blob, and then the name of the file. So here we can say quiz.json. That's the file we want to create. And then we can close this file from here, and then we go back to success container, and we call this function build quiz. Okay, I hope I spelled it right. So I'm just gonna copy the text from here, and I'm just gonna paste the text here, and now yep, it's perfectly fine. Now we can test our application. So I'm gonna save, and then first thing we want to do, change the CSS as well. So I don't like this color at the background, which is pretty weird, so I'm just gonna make it a white color. So I'm gonna save the file, let's go to application, let's refresh, and right now we can see we have a quiz home, we have a create quiz, and we have a take quiz, which basically it's a container but it doesn't do anything. We have to implement the functionality to open the quiz. But for now we're gonna look at whether we are able to save our quiz in a JSON file or not. So let's click on create quiz, it will bring up the form, and I'll type my name, Oais, as an author. Quiz, I'll just say questions, I'll just say QST, and I'm gonna add 2 questions there. So I'm gonna click on create new, and here I will type what is my name, and then I have to type the twice, so I'll just say one, or this, or Oais, or Mirza, and I'll just say use my brother's name actually instead of typing that, and I'll use my another brother name, and I will click on correct. This is the correct one, Oais, and I'm gonna click on add question. Now it's gonna bring in the second question, and then we have what do you do for a living. and I'll just say I make videos, nothing, chill, work, and I'll say I'll make videos. And let's add the question. Once I add the question, and there we go. So the next page shows us this question, what is your name, and it shows all the choices there. And then here we have the button to save the quiz. But what we want to do here, we want to add the value of this button as well. So I'm just gonna go here and I'm just gonna type value and I'll say save quiz. I'm gonna save the file, and now we have to refresh the page, create a new quiz. I'm just gonna randomly create a random quiz. I'll make it 2 questions, and let's just do a random question, and then select this one, right, and we just add a random question there as well. Select this one, right, and add. Now we go have a button here, save quiz. If you can see, we have the button there, save quiz. If I click on that, it should save the file into a JSON file. Now we have to debug this application for a bit because the function we're calling a build quiz is not actually working. So we're gonna have a look why it's not working. And there is a package that we forgot to install called filesaver.js, and that's what we want to install. So I'm just gonna go back to WebStorm and I'm gonna close the file, and we are going to use a bower command. So we'll just open a new terminal, and here we install bower install filesaver.js. And if it finds that module, we can see it doesn't really find anything, so we're gonna have to search for that. So let me show you how you can search the different modules for your application. So you say filesaver.js. Now here we have filesaver.js, and we can use this filesaver just for these browsers. See, Gulp we used from filesaver.js. I just forgot to install that. And we can install this through bower as well. So here we have a bower installation. So package name is filesaver.js. Let's just copy this. We go back to WebStorm and I'm going to type here bower install --save and paste the and then file.saver.js, and it's going to go grab the filesaver.js for us. And then we're going to use our Gulp.js file where we use the build libs, right? So here we have Gulp, and then we're going to use a build libs task. And now inside our project, we can look at the libs, and here we should have this file saver. And now if I just stop this Gulp watch task, and I will run this Gulp build task, which will go and look for these libraries, and it will just create another libs.js which has the file saver in it. All right, cool. So now we have a file saver. I'm just gonna start Gulp watch again. So let's type Gulp watch. So if we make any changes, it's telling me that is an error, so we have to remove this. Okay, that's fine. And then we start Gulp watch again. And now if we go close this and we go to our application, I'm going to refresh the page. And now I'm going to create a new quiz. This time I will create a proper quiz. So I'll just say my quiz is like math, 2 questions. Okay, so we'll just say what is 2 plus 2, and then I'm going to add 4, 5, 7, 1. I'm going to say 4 is the correct answer, add question. So what is 6 plus 5? And then we'll just say 1, 2, 5, or we can say 10. The correct answer is 10. I'm going to click on add questions, and there you go, the questions are there. Now we're going to click on save JSON file, And there we go. We have this file quiz that parenthesis 9 because I created a few quiz before. So I'm just going to open this file and show you what JSON data we have in that file. So it opens up in a bracket. So there we go. So we got the quiz object, we have the quiz name, we have the question length, and we have the correct answers as well. Alright, so now our creating quiz part is done, and the next step we're gonna look at is writing a code which could load the quiz and we could just take that quiz. Welcome back. In this video we are going to create a directive which is going to help us to open a quiz from a JSON file and only created by this quiz app. Let's get started. So I'll go to the project files, and in the app folder, in the JS folder, we are going to create a form. Inside the form, we have this open quiz that's already there. We have template folder, models, forms, and we have open quiz form. So we already created a directive. Now in this form, we want to have a div and we have another button. We use the input and we type set to button. Then we set the class btn, and we use the default button from Bootstrap. And we can just set the value as well. So value, let's say open quiz. Pretty simple, right? So open quiz. And then we are going to use ngClick event, and we are going to call a function open quiz to take. So we just make that function in a second, but let's look at it. So open quiz to take. It's not there, but we will create that. Next, we are going to create another input field, and that input field will have a file type. And then we're gonna use a class hidden. And then I'm gonna type the ID for that. So ID would be open-file. And we have successfully created our directive. I'm just gonna refresh the application and I'm gonna click on take quiz, and it's not there yet. So we need to add that to our quiz container. Let's find a quiz container file, and here we have a take quiz, and in the take quiz mode we want to add that open quiz directive. So we use open quiz. Let's save the file, and then I'm going to refresh the page and we'll go open quiz, and there we go. We see that button there. It doesn't do anything yet, but we'll write a code for this button to open a window and show us a file explorer, so we could select a file, a JSON file from there. Now I'm going to close the quiz container because there is nothing else we're going to write in this quiz container for the rest of the course. Now we're going to close success container, question form is being closed, and then we have open quiz. This is what we're going to close. Quiz container is going to be used, and create quiz form is done as well. Now in the quiz container, we are quiz controller actually, guys. So here we're going to write a function which will help us to open a file, and then we will add a function which will load that file into as a quiz in our quiz application. Alright, so now on that we are going to add a function on a scope. We have to type the same name, open quiz to take. And we set that to function. And now inside that we're going to be using a few of the APIs, web APIs, and a jQuery. So first of all, we are going to target this button. I'm going to open this vertically so we could look at this, and we can just bring it a little bit back so we don't really have to switch using tabs. Alright, so here I'm going to call this function open quiz, and here I'm going to go to quiz container. Alright, so here we made the function, we set the ID to open file, so we're going to select that by using jQuery. So we use a $, we start a parenthesis, and in the single quotes we type the ID with the hash. So open file. All right, and then I'm going to add a click event on it. So let's add a click event, and then we have a change function. Inside that, it's going to take a callback, and it's going to have a data in it. So once we open that file, and then we will basically load the data from there, and we're going to read that data. So now we're going to add a variable. We're going to name it reader, and we're going to create a new instance from a web API. We type file reader. Next, we use that reader dot onload function is equal to, we set another function in it, and inside this, once we read the data, then we have to use a quiz helper dot load quiz function. So we have a load quiz function there, which takes a quiz as a parameter. So we pass in reader dot result. Okay, and then we are going to add a condition here. So if scope dot quiz name not equal to, let's say, empty, then we are going to add this code. So we're gonna say that scope dot quiz loaded is equal to true. So we're gonna tell it that the quiz has been loaded now. Okay, and then for AngularJS, because it's gonna get a dirty digest loop, so we need to run the digest loop here as well by using this scope dot dollar digest. All right, now we're going to get out from the code block, and then after that we are going to add a semicolon here for this onload, and then we just say reader dot read as text. Okay, now we're going to read that as text, and what we're going to read the data dot target, and then say files, and the file 1, because we're not going to select a multiple files, and then it's going to take what type of file. So that would be in a string, so that's like text file slash a JSON file, and the type would be char set is equal to UTF-8. All right, and then add a semicolon at the end. Now we have created a function which will help us to open a file, and basically it's gonna pass that data into quiz helper load function. All right, so let's give it a go, and let's try if we're able to open the file or not. So I'm gonna refresh the page. I'm gonna take quiz. I'm gonna click on open file, open quiz, and there you go. So we got the file explorer open. So now we can select the file, a JSON file. Now we are able to do that, but what we want to do here, we want to write a function which will actually start our quiz. Now there is a scope object or scope variable on the top which says quiz start, which is set to false, but we actually know that the quiz has been loaded, so that's why we set that quiz to yes, to true. Now we go down, and after that we are going to create another function which is going to help us to load or start the quiz. So I'm going to say scope dot let's start quiz is equal to function, and inside that function, first thing what I'm going to do, I want to say start quiz. Start quiz is equal to true. Set that to true here, and then if we can check here whether scope dot start quiz, and if that's true, then we can scope dot potential question is equal to scope dot quiz dot question. All right, so we got that, and then we have further things to do, but for now just leave that here. All right, now we need to have a form which will basically take quiz container. We actually created this, which is kind of empty right now because we need to add some functionality here to basically make it work or make it open. So here we are going to actually modify the quiz container as well. We're going to go back to quiz container, and instead of open quiz, we are going to use this take quiz container. All right, so inside our take quiz container, we are going to use this open quiz, so which will basically open the file explorer and load that for us. Now we have a container here. This is going to be long code, so bear with me. I'll try to explain everything here. So we have the container. Inside that, we create another div container. We give a class of row, and then inside that everything is gonna go. So first thing, we need to have a div class, and I'm gonna say call -12, and I'm gonna use an ng show. So I want to show this when quiz load is false. So quiz actually loaded. Okay, quiz loaded is false, and I want to show this when question limit exceeded. All right, now we have these two scope variables on our controller. So here, if we can look at it, so here if I go here, and there you go, we have quiz loaded and we have question limit exceeded as well. So whether if they are both false, then show this. So inside that we have open quiz button. That's when it's gonna show. Now let's get out from there, and then we are going to create a new div. We're gonna take we're gonna give a class of, let's just say, call12 as well, and we're gonna use this call12 class. And now I'm gonna use ng show. So now I'm gonna show this when quiz loaded is true and start quiz is false. Okay, and then inside that we have an input first, and then we say type button, and then I'm gonna give a class of button. Actually, we make it primary button, so button dash primary. Okay, I'm gonna set the value for this as well. So value would be start quiz, and then ng click, and we are going to use that last start quiz function, what we just created. And then let's just get out of here, and then we can use hr horizontal row, and after that we are going to create another div class of container, and then inside that we are going to show the quiz which is loaded. All right, so first of all, let's just say we are going to open the quiz controller file. I'm going to put it here. Actually, we just leave that stop first, but you guys understand that whatever is on the scope, we can access that from HTML. So here we will just say that in the container, first of all, let's just create a class of row, and then inside that we create a class of column. So the column would be 12 again, and inside that we are going to use div class alert, and we're going to use alert primary dash primary. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. So alert space alert dash primary, and role is going to be alert as well. Okay, so that's there, and inside that div we are going to type author name, and we use a binding expression, and we just say quiz dot author. Okay, and then I'm just gonna copy and paste these lines into our column. So let's just 1, 2, so we need a quiz name, and we need a questions, how many questions we got to attempt. So here we can say that quiz name, and then we can say question length. All right, let's save the file and we go and test it out. So I'm just gonna refresh the page. I'm gonna take the quiz, I'm gonna open this, and here we'll look at where is our quiz. So here we have quiz 9, which we just created. I'm gonna open this, and once I open this, it says author is my quiz, name is my quiz, and question length is my quiz. The reason why it's doing that is because we have to change the binding expression. So we just say quiz dot quiz name, and then we just say quiz dot question length. All right, the HR is actually getting out, so we just want to get rid of that. Let's save the file and let's just refresh the page, and let's go take quiz. Let's open the quiz. We select this quiz, let's just say this quiz, and here it shows us the author name is my quiz, quiz name is math, and the question length is 2. Now here we can add a different class as well. I try to use this alert primary class, but for some reason in Bootstrap it's not working. So we could use a different class here, but it's up to you. So yeah, so we finally got our quiz loaded in our application from JSON file, and now it's time for us to write a code which will let us take the quiz. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk 2 functions in our controller, which are going to help us to check the answers, and we want to add a function for next questions as well. I'm actually going to copy and paste that code, and I'll explain that. So basically, we have 3 functions which I've already written, and I'll just copy and paste these 3 functions. And here we have a check functions which takes an answer as a parameter. We have a variable correct answer, and we set that variable to our potential question, count, and then answer. So whatever the answer for that particular question, that will be stored here. And here in the condition, we are checking if the answer is equal to correct answer, then basically it's gonna show us that the potential question dot count, the result is true. So if it gets true, it'll save that the value that you answered it correctly. Here we have else. If it's not the right question you selected, and it's not the right answer you selected, then it's gonna set that to false. And then we have this question answered is equal to true as well, which basically help us to navigate to the next question. And then we have this next question function as well. Basically, it's gonna check for the count, how many questions are left. If we haven't finished the questions, then it's gonna just keep adding 1 to count, and then it's gonna say question answer is equal to false and question limit exceed is equal to true. We have a simple function restart app. It basically reloads the window, and that's pretty much it is. Now this video is already very long, so I want to jump right into take quiz container, and here we're just going to copy and paste the code as well, and then you can pause the video and then read the code, and you will understand what's going on here. So I'm actually going to copy and paste the code here. So let's just do that. And then I will quickly explain that as well to you guys. And let's have a look. Let's just paste the code here. And it's a bit of long code, but I'm just going to go through quickly. So basically we copy the code here. There you go, here. And here we have an option for ng show start quiz. If we click on that button start quiz, it's going to start the quiz. And if the question limit exceeded, it's not exceeded, then it's going to just keep using this ng repeat and keep showing us the answer. So it shows the first question to us, and then we just have 4 options. Basically, it's going to say ng click check answer, and it's going to check the answer for that. And we have ng click check answer function. We have a potential question count. So you basically look at these functions here. And one more thing, that there's a repository available for this quiz app. So far whatever we cover, you guys will be able to understand that what's happening here. It's nothing really critical. It's just a simple ng disable, ng click, and ng value. There's 3 just built-in directive from AngularJS. That's what I used, and I created my own function to check the answer, and it basically just shows those answers. And here we have an option for next question. So once we click on next question, it will basically disable if the question hasn't been answered yet. So if the question has been answered, then it will enable this button, and then you can go to the next question. So next question has basically this function here, which basically look for the length of the potential question array, and then if it's not the final question, then it will just gonna increment those questions. Now we got this. I'm just gonna go and build this, and let's stop the server. And then I'm just gonna go to Gulp build. It's gonna build our application, and then we are going to run this on our server. So we go npm start, and then let's have a look at our application. I'm not sure, so let's bring it here. I'm just gonna refresh the page, and now we're gonna go and click on this button, take quiz, open quiz. I'm gonna open this quiz. I'm gonna start the quiz, and now it's asking us what is your name, and I can click on await, and then the next question, and then I'll select this making YouTube videos, and next question, and now it's basically showing us results. So it's now showing us what is your name. The correct answer was await, and then your answer was, so it says it's correct. And second question was basically what do you do for a living, programming and making YouTube. It says it's wrong because we selected wrong. Now I understand that the UI is a bit different, but we're not here to teach the UI for this tutorial. Instead, I'm just going to show you the functionality. So we have covered pretty much how to create this application, and there is a link for the repository in the description. Check it out and download that code and study that code, and you will be able to make this application. Alright, so yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Cheers.